So, welcome everyone to the panel. As I said in the opening session, this is all about interaction. This is a panel session. So, we would like as many questions as we possibly can from the folks on the call. So, we're going to be talking about developing an effective remote selling strategy. I know that's a real challenge for everyone at the moment, and we've got four great people to talk about this. And I'm going to briefly introduce each of them. The first is Eric Likas, and he's co-founder and VP of Strategy at Monday Call Solutions. Eric's been successful in CRM customer outcomes for over 17 years. He's got a real deep knowledge of integration and middleware. He leads sales teams and has been doing so for 8 years in both big and small companies, so he's got a wide range of experience. He's worked with over 600 clients in the CRM space, and he's also a guitar and bass guitar player. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about Monday Call.
Sure, thanks, Ed. So Monday Call is a 10-year-old Salesforce consultancy, an SI partner. We focus really kind of in a couple areas, but mostly in service and sales, the core Salesforce product, and like you said, deep integration. And we're a gold partner, and literally started 10 years ago, this coming November. So we're going to have our 10-year anniversary in a couple of days.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
And our second panelist is Michael Bowers, and he's the CEO of Heed Consulting Group. And they're a cyber risk management firm based in LA, but operating nationally. He's been a member of the Forbes Business Council since 2017. He's worn many hats over his career, ranging from engineer to marketing to business development to now CEO. So many congratulations. His personal speciality is marketing, sales, and business development. And he's got some wonderful COVID stories because they had a real impact on his business. And I'm going to ask him to tell you about those a little bit later in the call. And he mentors business owners across the country on business development as a Toastmaster. So rather than toasting us, Michael, tell us a little bit about Heed.
Thank you, Rod. Well, Heed Consulting Group, we are as you mentioned before, a cyber risk management consulting group. And what we do is we specialize in risk management and using IT to manage risk. So identifying those areas that people are exposed, covering them, and then protecting them moving forward. So providing that support, that oversight, as well as our virtual CTO services. So working with companies to just eliminate risk wherever possible and providing those services moving forward.
Excellent. And our third speaker is Mark Emanuelson, and Mark is the VP of Solution Sales at RelationEdge, and they are a Salesforce.com consulting partner. Previously, Mark held international channel management positions for industry leaders like Cisco and Panasonic, so Mark has seen both sides of the house. So if any of you are thinking about what the heck do I need from my vendors and how do I get it, Mark might be the great person to ask those questions of. He now works in cloud application consulting with top Salesforce partners in the USA and Europe. And Mark is originally from the San Francisco area, but is now based in London. So it's beer time for Mark. So Mark, tell us a little bit more about RelationEdge.
Yes, it is. Cheers from London. Looking forward to some pub time a little bit later. But my name's Mark Emanuelson, and I'm with RelationEdge. We are a Salesforce consulting firm that was acquired a couple of years ago by Rackspace, which is the leader in managed services and managed cloud computing. And to really build out kind of our professional services capabilities for CRM, for ERP, and other areas that were part of our team. So been around the world and been around different aspects of IT, as Rod said. So I'm looking forward to sharing some knowledge about how we manage a sales team.
Excellent. And our final panelist is Michael Day, and he's the Senior Director of North America Partner Sales for RingCentral. And Michael's from East Coast, born and raised, but now firmly planted in the Rocky Mountains. It's not uncommon for Michael to bike over 50 miles every day. He also coaches competitive youth soccer, and he once ate dinner with Michael Gorbachev. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about Ring Central.
Yeah, Ring Central is so excited to be here today. You know, we're a global provider of unified communications and contact centers. The majority of revenue that runs through Ring Central comes from the partner channel, specifically the MSPs. And the value that the MSPs can bring is out of this world when they take our technology and find the ways to stack it with the other technologies they bring to really give a whole product offering to that customer base.
Excellent. Now, I'm going to start. We've got a poll. If you look on the right-hand side, just by the screen, you will see polls. And if you could answer the question, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to remote selling? Is it gaining quality time with a prospect, gaining that initial appointment, the inability to close sales remotely, or managing and monitoring your own sales team remotely? Please click on one of those. So drop down the poll, and if everyone on the call could click on that now. Got the results starting to come through. Give everyone a few more moments. Got a number of people that haven't answered yet, so please do pull that poll down and click on it. Okay, give you 10 more seconds, and then we're going to close the poll. So here we go. Looks like the biggest single issue we've got when dealing with things remotely is gaining that initial appointment. Eric, wonder if you'd like to come in on that one.
I'd love to. I think that is absolutely a challenge we're all facing right now. I think one ways that we're getting through this challenge is we're using a lot of outsourcing third-party marketing companies and lead generation, demand generation, and we're finding great success with it. We probably got into it about 3-4 months before COVID, accelerated through COVID, and it's been a really good solution to fill up our lead funnel and really talk to some fresh blood and new customers. So that's a solution that we've come with.
So let me dive into that one a little bit with you, Eric, if I may. How did you find them, and what exactly do they do for you?
Sure. So great question. We actually interviewed quite a few, and there's a lot out there. It's kind of a big quagmire, I'd say, of quality and just effectiveness, right? We manage a database together. So they run campaigns through this database, and weekly we kind of see the progression of that campaign and see where leads are moving through the lead process, the MQL. Once we have a live one, they set the appointment. And, we run our intro pitch, and, we're trying to accelerate sales cycles as fast as possible. And in that, there's some strategies in reaching out to the customer. We'll look at optimization strategy. We'll look at net new strategy. But right now we're running parallel 3 organizations that are developing leads for us.
Excellent. I'm Michael D. Do you want to come in on that one?
Yeah, so we've been investing in lead generation, market development of our MSP community probably since early 2017. How can we come together to leverage the power of what you do locally in our global brand? So we've looked at things that, one, eliminate direct first channel competition at Ring Central and give you a unified selling force. But it all starts at how do we first identify, how do we get that initial appointment? So we'll go and invest in your community running webinars, running in-person live events where applicable or allowed. No, it's not uncommon. We might pick a big highlighted speaker, maybe someone from the business community, someone from the sports community, build landing pages for the MSPs and allow them to use that as lead generation for their business while using our platform to show them how great you can do this and the problems you can solve when we collectively work together. I mean, fortunately right now, our lead flow has never been greater. And the MSPs that are actively participating in it with us are seeing the results faster than the MSP community that's chosen not to.
Okay. And Michael, I mean, we spoke a lot in the pre-call, and you were talking about the pros and cons of remote selling. Talk us through your thoughts on that. Michael B.
Okay. Well, so there are a few different things. If you're asking about the pros and cons of it, the good thing is that you're able to catch humans in their natural habitat, which can be oftentimes at home, if not in their office. And the other side is these humans are also being annoyed because they're in their home or office because of COVID. And so where we have found the most success is just connecting with people as humans and not so much as prospects, and finding ways to just sort of break through and just connect, and then have the conversations to then get them to tell us what their problems are and then present solutions. So just acknowledging that both on the sales side, internally on your sales team, as well as the prospects, everybody is a human right now. And so when you can appeal to that human side or the humanity of the situation that you're trying to present them, you're trying to sell them something, you can kind of crack through versus the, hey, here's my pitch. But so just having that humanity will kind of break the ice and get you through, especially if you can get that humanity to come through in an email or your initial contact. And so whenever we're working with the sales teams, it's like, listen, you want to connect with the first person you can get on the phone, connect with that person. Can you help me with something? And that gets them on your team. And so every step of the way, you're just trying to be a human versus just truly prospecting, even though you are prospecting and they know it and you know it. But as long as you approach it a little differently, it's been successful for us getting through to people.
Okay. Mark, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it's different times, right? And what I do enjoy now is that I'm able to meet with a lot of customers very quickly. So I can have several meetings back to back during a day. As Michael just said, some of the meetings feel more informal because you're actually talking to the customers in their home environment and they're more relaxed, and rather than spending a lot of time putting a suit on, taking the train into central London here and going meeting with a customer in an office. Gaining that initial appointment, I want to come back. We've been doing some things around syndicated content. So we've been putting some of the thought leadership out there that we get leads that way. And then in order to kind of get the dialogue going, because of the systems we work with are all cloud-based, we're able to actually offer customers health checks or assessments on their system, which we can also run remotely. And so, the whole remote part of the selling, putting content out there to generate a lead, having a meeting with the customer remotely, and then offering them a remote service so you can diagnose their system is actually quite effective.
Excellent. So don't leave it just to me, guys, to ask questions. We've got a ton of you on the call. Want to see you asking your own questions. So, Eric, if you look at it, I've got a remote selling team. I'm trying to make them work. What are my key KPIs for remote selling? How should I be monitoring this? Because they're not in the office anymore.
Yeah. I think it's, to me, the KPIs have always been specific to businesses, right? But the way we look at it, it's really funnel, and it's top of the funnel through the bottom of the funnel. I want to see new leads coming in weekly. We have a benchmark that we want to hit. We want to see leads converted to opportunities through our CRM system. We have a benchmark that we want to hit. We want to look at proposals and the dollars that are being proposed. We look at that weekly. There's a number we want to hit. And we're looking at close and close ratio and finding it, in COVID, deals are a little longer, right? So we want to look at activity. We want to look at good touches. Going to what Michael B said, right? The relationship. It's so important right now You're not able to shake that hand. You're not able to look at that customer in the eye. But building that confidence, building that with the customer, and educating your salespeople to be doing the same is critical, right? So I think every business is unique in their KPIs, but when it comes down to it, it's really just looking at the funnel from input to close. And we have metrics that we follow weekly, almost daily.
Anyone else like to come in on that one? Perhaps you'd like to come in, Michael D.
Yeah, so I think he hit it on the head with establishing the KPIs that are indicators of success for what your organization wants to do. The other side of that is, what is the cadence? What is the cadence that you're setting for your sellers, your sales team, and how is it that they are reaching out to customers? I think the one that's really helped us monitor the sales even more closely from the remote side of the house is understanding and making sure that our teams are comfortable in their environments, that they have technology and tools at their disposal that allow them to reach out and make an impact with the MSPs and the customers of those MSPs. I think the other part of it is, if you look at all of us presenting on this call, we're all in basically the same background, right? White, cream-colored walls, couple pictures in the background. The same environment of the MSPs, it's the same environment of the customers. Let people feel comfortable with the technology you're using in the setting that you're in, and we'll see it exponentially increase the number of sales because the opportunities that presented them to solve the problems of the customer.
Okay. And talk about some of those technologies, Michael. I mean, obviously a lot of MSPs on the call, they haven't got huge budgets, but what do you think, are some of the key tools that people should be employing?
Yeah, I always love it when I see the MSPs. For many, many years, and many of them I hear them say, well, we eat our own dog food. Well, stop eating dog food. Start sipping your own champagne. No, start using platform technologies that allow you to integrate things together. So if you have a great UCaaS system, RingCentral should be your choice. But what else can you layer in there? Do you have an integration into your CRM? Hopefully it's a Salesforce or something. Is it with Microsoft? Is it with your ticketing system? How many of your technologies can work as one? But start it with something that allows you to be human to that customer. Maybe it is just your video platform so that you can reach out and have a discussion with them and let them see the technology that you're proposing to them to help them solve their business problems.
Fabulous. And I did promise Michael had a very cool story about COVID. So let me ask you to just share that and what you did with the people on the call, because I think there's an awful lot of interesting lessons there.
Sure. Thanks for that, Rod. So we, a year ago, when I was spoken with the other panels and before, our company name was CAM Business Solutions. And so we were just a straight MSP doing IT support and, just working with B2B. Well, about a year ago, as I mentioned, a little bit longer than that, I decided I wanted to reposition the company as more of a cyber security company versus an MSP. There's lots of MSPs. I wanted to be more than that. And looking over my shoulder right now, my first company was my PC Man, which is about computer repair. And so back then, it was like, okay, got to separate computer repair to MSP. Now it's the MSP to cybersecurity. So we spent a year redoing everything, finding new solutions, and really positioning ourselves as a cyber risk management consulting firm. My partner came from the insurance industry and risk management, so we really went with this new direction. And we launched like a year and a week ago. I'm sorry, we started a year and a week ago, planning to launch in January. Had some delays. We rented an office at WeWork because we were planning to have myself go out and speak to rooms full of people, CFOs and all these business owners, getting them to come on down, discuss their risk, having partners like Dado come in and Sophos, and we're presenting these panels. We're going to do all these Q&As and see how important it is for you guys to protect yourselves. So there were logistical delays in January, which pushes back to March. And our office move-in was March 16th, and our first event was March 19th. And we had 200 people signed up, and we were just looking for cyber insurance is coming in, so cyber insurance. We are ramped up and pumped up. We got lunch set up. We're working with the Chamber of Commerce. Everything is designed around being in person and speaking to rooms full of people. And now we couldn't. And so, and we had just rented an office which is paying 3 to 4 times what we should be paying our rent, so we can use the WeWork network to then do speaking engagements and lunch and learns and all those. So now everything we had based on was a non-COVID world. And so we spent about a month looking at the news and seeing what was going to happen and kind of with everybody else, like, what do we do? And so then we had to make a decision. Well, we still wanted to educate the people and still wanted to connect with the people. And so that meant that we had to pivot and do a ton of webinars. And so between webinars and videos and creating white papers and infographics, do all of these different things to create that connection with our prospects and find a way to get them to come to our virtual rooms and do what we're trying to do, establish trust, a conversation, connect, and then establish business. And so that meant taking on all these new tools that we were planning to do one day. One of them was with Ring Central, actually. So we had Ring Central as just our phones and voice, and all of a sudden it was like, we got to do webinars. And so it was like, do we have a tool already? And bam, Ring Central fortunately had that already, so we can just kind of scale it. But it did require taking on many new tools, becoming a PowerPoint expert like overnight, and trying to figure out how to communicate your message and just pivot. And so now that meant even when we had to market our events, doing things like offering virtual happy hours where we would send people 2 mini drinks that they can share with somebody. But it was like, hey, join us at 5 o'clock for a discussion on, why cyber insurance is important for your organization. And then we went into things we learned from dealing with our clients during COVID after 30 days, things like that. And so there's all these ways to have these conversations that we would really try to have either over the phone or through email, but now trying to get them to come to us. And because we were now a new brand launching during this time, it was very challenging to just, as you mentioned in your question, through to people. How do you get them to even get on the phone or even listen to you or understand what you're even trying to say? So that meant pivoting and making the inbound marketing and putting things out there in different groups where our personas existed, like on LinkedIn, CFO groups. We were targeting the food industry, so going where the magazines are publishing their stuff and just saying, hey, listen, folks, these are real issues approaching your industry. Come check out our event. And from that, trying to create that connection. So in the past 6 months, we've gone from planning to be in person and have everyone come and sit and talk to us to doing a ton of webinars and creating little mini videos through Adobe Spark on what is NIST. Well, NIST is this. And then we present it and say, if you have any questions, we're here. But again, trying to educate people and let them know that we have solutions without saying that we're selling, just that it's important and we can help you figure it out. And so just not being sales, being information, delivering value at every touch. So every email has got a link to a checklist or something that's got value. Hey, we saw an article that was related to who you are, your industry, your whatever is related. And so, again, trying to establish that connection remotely when you can't do it in their offices or just in a room full of people networking and rubbing shoulders and, oh, hey, I heard you talking about, so let's talk about it more and let's talk about it on Monday. We didn't have that. So you're doing virtual events and creating and going live through Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and just trying to be everywhere possible, delivering value so that if anyone ever saw it, there was value in it. If they came in late, there was value. If they saw it later, it was value. When we reshared it, there was value. Just deliver value whenever possible so that people see you as a solution provider. And then everything else comes with that. Give me what I need.
Really interesting story. And
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of questions coming in, and they're coming in through the chat box and also through the question box as well. And there's 2 topics coming up. One is a topic on how to manage a remote sales team, and the other is a topic on more tips. And Eric had some good thoughts on this, on how to get that initial sales meeting. So I'm going to start with each of you and ask for both those questions. thoughts on how to get an initial sales team, and a couple of tips on how to run a remote sales team. Mark, if I can start with you on those.
Yeah, sure. I think what Michael was saying had some really good insights there. It's about giving something of value. So getting that initial meeting, I think, is really important to be giving some value back. You might be sharing some research you've done. You might be sharing your expertise. You might be, sharing a small service that you might offer for free to analyze their system or do a security review or something like that. In our case, we analyze their CRM system. So talking about, something we can kind of give them to show our value add is often a good door opener. And then managing a remote team, I think generally, for me, it boils down into two camps. One is qualitative, like what are you doing on sort of the soft side of managing your team? Like, how do you do collaboration, using tools? How do you do coaching with your teams? Are you thinking about the wellness of your team when they're not coming to the office and you can see them and, go out to lunch together? So it's those kind of things. You need to think a little bit about the soft side. And then it's also the quantitative side, which I think we mentioned a little bit earlier, using the systems to provide maybe more structure and more automation today than you had in the past, because people can't just walk across the office and get something done. People are working remotely. We use, of course, CRM systems to do that and to track and automate as much as we can. So there's a qualitative and a quantitative aspect to managing a remote sales team that I think we need to think about.
Excellent. Let me bring Michael D into this one. So getting that initial meeting and then thoughts on running a remote sales team, Michael.
Yeah, I think it's an okay question for anybody in the MSP community to look back on their vendors and asking them, what are my vendors doing to help me get that initial meeting? They probably have a bigger brand name than I do. They probably have a larger marketing budget than I do. How can you work with your vendor to create value and drive opportunities back into your local market? I think another thing, and Mark did a great job of highlighting it, is what can you do to host thought-provoking, thought leadership type operations? No, we try to focus on doing things of relationship building exercises, which don't always have to cost something. Do you have a newsletter? Do you have some highlighted article that you can share to get people interested to say, well, what other services can they provide me? And then for remote selling, I think we touched on it a little bit earlier. What are those KPIs that look like? What is it that we have to drive every day? If we know we have a closing ratio of a certain percentages, how many leads do I need to get in the funnel to turn to opportunities to turn to sales? But I think the other side of that too is it's okay again to ask your vendors, what are you going to help me do to help me manage some people remotely? Now, are you competing with your vendors for business, or are you collaborating with your vendors for business? When there's that collaboration in place, you're going to see a lot more success from your sellers, because now you also have the power of the sellers of your vendors working for your organization as well.
Rod, I want to just touch in on what Mike was just saying. Leveraging your partners is super important. And we've done that on many different levels and had different partners. Sometimes I've had partners fly in to meet with a customer, a prospect, to discuss a solution. And I've had them on calls to say, listen, we are going to use this partner, and to make sure that we understand your issue, I brought the partner in to listen to you specifically and give you an assurance that we can address your issue. And so oftentimes the partners would do a lot to help you get that first call, or at least establish credibility right off the bat. So leveraging partners is super important.
Excellent. Eric, do you want to come in on those two issues?
Sure. I think first and foremost, there's a lot of things that I want to kind of repeat and maybe drill into a little bit deeper. But first off, our business is kind of going through a transformation right now, and we're becoming specialists. We're becoming specialists in call center and in service environments. And so I think specifically that first initial meeting, we are targeting that audience, right? We used to have a very much a shotgun approach to we can solve every problem, and that's a hard business to run, right? And so I think having a focused message, having value that you're delivering to the client in that first initial meeting, I always say the first 5 minutes makes or breaks a sale. right? And in my world, it's less than 5 minutes. It's pretty much your first minute. And
Eric?
I know. Look down for a second. Where'd it go?
Managing a remote sales team, not to the point of Michael's business, but on March 13th and 14th, I flew down to Irvine to train our 2 new salespeople in Southern California, and I have just seen them this last week, and it's been 7-8 months. With no human contact, the wellness piece, Mark, you really hit that on the head, right? I want to see, KPIs and driving sales. That's a natural point of sales, right? We live in a system that's easy data to get, but looking somebody in the eye and making sure their head's on and they're focused, it's so important. And I think we like to have fun. We gamify our sales team. I always say we're like a college football team. Everybody sells. Our delivery sales, our developers sell, our PM sell, our executives sell. We're all selling. It's fun, And I think there's just an energy when you do that because, when you're patting on the back a consultant because they brought in a big sale, about it. Our developers are our best salespeople, and start showing technical value, and so I a big part of it, and just I've been in sports my whole life, right? Is having fun and making it a team, making sales a team, and people buy in or they buy out, and we want the ones that buy in.
Excellent. Okay, and I've got a huge number of questions coming in, so let me try and cover off some of these. Starting with you, Michael B. What's your most effective way of generating leads?
Our most effective way of generating leads would be referrals and networking. And that is by speaking with our existing clients or people that we've at least had good conversations with. So they don't always have to be a client, but we've had a good conversation with somebody and really had an opportunity to share what we do. Asking that person for referrals is always the best, even though we spent a ton of money on marketing and ads and everything and trying to be every place. The most effective thing has always been referrals and networking. It's always the best place, the least amount of legwork, least cost, and fastest closing of deals because it's so trusted.
And have you got a formal program for that? And if so, how does that work?
So that's a great question. Over the years, I've done several things to build up a network of referrals. And so one of the things that I've had the most success with is having non-competing partners. So one of them has been a cable installation company. And so they are often, they're doing Cat 6 and they're doing all this wiring for companies who are moving in and they're adding things. And then they would often ask them, hey, they told us we need a firewall. We didn't know we needed that. Or, we need a server. Now we're moving to this new big building. And so the wiring company's like, listen, we just put the wires, do the drops, and give you that stuff. So I'm partnering with them to work back and forth. We refer to them, they refer to us, but often and then doing events together where they know the people in these organizations, or even sometimes they would reach out to them. So you did all wiring. Do you guys do this? And so instead of them saying no, say, well, and so we've even white labeled ourselves to work as our partners, or would they just send them to us and we give them either a flat rate or a percentage, but just working with non-competing partners and so you can refer business back and forth to each other has been the most lucrative, least amount of labor, and funnest way of generating leads for us for years, as long as I can remember. That's been all my biggest customers have come in through someone else or a partner of some way, or like I said, an event or conversation. Someone said, "Oh yeah, you need that? They over there do that." And so that's always been the best thing out there.
Excellent. Mark, most effective way of generating leads for you guys? Because I know you're after the slightly bigger deals.
Yeah, I mean, referrals are good. We have a formal program in our parent company where we do give a reward for referrals to our partners.
What sort of reward, and how does that work?
There's a percentage of the first year's revenue that they might get that the partner gets for a referral, and that's a simple contract that's set up with them to do that, and that tends to work for our MSPs and the others that use our platforms or refer services to us. The main thing is do good work as well. People are going to refer to you if you're getting the 5-star reviews, and they're going to research you and they're going to check you out and they're going to say, hey, these guys look like they're doing a great job. In our world, we're a Salesforce partner, so all our customer reviews are up on the App Exchange where people can look and they can review us and then see what other reviewers are doing. So leads come in that way. But as I mentioned, we do a lot of other things like syndicated content, webinars, and other things just to kind of draw people in. And then just making sure that once we get a lead, we follow it up very quickly. So using the systems to make sure that they're moved through and qualified and moved through opportunities very quickly to show that we're proactive. So those are some of the tips that we use.
Excellent. And Michael, Michael D, if I can switch gears on this one for you. Clearly, if someone comes to you and says, I want to do an in-person event at the moment, that might not be something you want to fund from your Carpet MDF program. So what sort of activities, if someone wants to come to Ring Central and say, I've got this cool idea, what sort of ideas are you funding, and how's that changed because of the current situation?
Yeah, you're right. We haven't had as much luck, mostly from a safety standard of we're not doing any in-person type events now. But we do have platforms between video meetings and webinars that allow us to do some really cool high-profile events that all of the MSPs are allowed to participate in. Maybe it is a well-known athlete, and they're going to come in and talk about teamwork, preparation, things of that nature. Well, we're going to create a landing page for those MSPs to start driving their customers to, and letting them participate in that event as well. Maybe there's something that comes along with a gift, right? You attend this event and we're going to send you a gift. Maybe it's something as small as just sending them gift cards to use something like a Grubhub or Uber Eats, so they can still thank the people for attending them. But I would advocate again that if you're not working with your vendors to do those types of events, you should start. And if you want to start with us, you can just click on the set up a meeting here in the upper right-hand corner. Yeah, right up in there, guys.
Very good.
Excellent. And Eric, you said you now outsource. Is that outsourcing all of the initial lead generation, or what other things are you doing?
So I think first and foremost, the way I look at our business and probably similar for all of us, right? Our channel, Salesforce, is our biggest lead source, right? And so our relationships with account executives, with regional vice presidents, with product marketing, with product management, we are constantly selling to them, selling packaged services, selling capabilities, selling our certifications, our successes, right? And I think our main lead source is really the channel. We looked at outsourcing as a way to diversify and really take a nationwide approach rather than kind of being on the West Coast, right? And it's been effective. We also look at, just echoing Mark's, we started looking at independent review companies like Clutch, G2, and found that they're great sources. People are on those networks right now. Get on those networks. If you don't know about G2, Clutch, get to know about them, because that's where customers are going. They're independent review areas, right? And so that's a big area for how we generate leads. And then we want to drive traffic to our website. We have a ton of content, ton of thought leadership, ton of point of view, right? Very specific, to the Service Cloud, to customer community experience. to the Sales Cloud, to the partner relationship. So really, that's a big driver of getting people into our content and registering to be in our database. But our main lead source is the channel, and I think we tried to diversify our channel this year, and we've seen some effectiveness with it. Not just Salesforce, but other technologies that plug into our solutions. And we found that to be effective in getting leads and getting our foot in the door.
Okay. And the other big issue is, and I've got questions coming in on this one, maybe Mark, if I can start with you, closing a sale remotely. Used to be, you're in the client's office, everyone's excited, you've got the team around the desk, you're deciding what you're going to do, you agree on everything, and then it's just a case of getting it through procurement or whatever and getting it signed. It's a bit different today. Any tips to help people when they're thinking about closing a sale remotely?
Well, it is a big it's different, but it's also can be more efficient. Actually, I think customers often appreciate that, we can use remote tools now to close the sale. We have the e-signature tools to sign the contract. We have ways of managing that very, very efficiently across dispersed teams. I think when you're coming into the close, first you want to make sure that everything's set up to close. So one of the things that we do with our teams, make sure, you're talking to procurement, you're talking to the decision maker, you're talking to all the influencers, making sure the groundwork is laid, making sure that there's not going to be any legal issues that are going to shortchange your sale at the last minute. And then, just put everything up electronically, use the tools that are out there, the e-signature tools to manage the workflow, get it signed, and always be ready. In sales, we say always be closing. So, always have the contract kind of ready so that there isn't any delay when the customer gives a buying signal and you're ready to move it forward.
Excellent. Michael B., do you want to come in on that one?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say, that it's very important to a couple things on this. One, when you're getting to that point, and our line of business, and I'm sure for a lot of the MSPs out there, before you get to that closing of any kind of a deal, you've had to establish value, issues, things that you're going to address, the solutions. And so by the time you get to that point, it really should just be a matter of process. Because we've already discussed the fact that you've got a fire, we've got water, we've got fire trucks, and we can put this fire out. So let's just go ahead and do this. So the real challenge I have found and have recently found a way to overcome that is, and it's funny because I kept thinking that Mark was saying heat signatures. I was like, how do you get heat signatures? But it's e-signatures. And that is automating that process. Because one of the things that I have found is that, no one likes giving anybody money. So when you can automate that process and take the transaction out of it, take the friction out of giving someone else money and make it as automated as possible, everyone is used to an automated, I check the box here, that means it's going to cost me more, I've checked the box, I accepted it, and they move on. But when someone says, can you give me money, you're like, wow, there's all this emotional attachment to that. So when you have the deal and you're ready to close it, to have an automated process like, oh, so we're on agreement? Great. Let me send it over. And then so in that requesting of the e-signature and making it very formal and you getting them set up with the payment procedures and everything automated, taking the human interaction out of that part and making it so that they are responsible with pressures from the system saying, so you have a contract ready for you to sign, those kinds of things I have found versus, hey, did you sign it? Can you send it back? Where is it at? And so just automating that process. As a smaller company, we've always attempted to mimic the larger companies because everyone does business with larger companies. Why? Because it's easy. And you go to McDonald's, I want a number 3. You know what's in it versus the local burger spot. Yeah, let me get this, that, and the other. And so by trying to automate that, taking the friction out of every step of the process, would generally make that process go through a lot smoother. And so if you already established the value and what you're bringing to the table, you know what their issues are, you've already agreed on that. So sign the contract, but to make the process where they're like, oh, there's steps here. I got to enter my name and I enter the payment information. It's no longer a person. It's no longer I got to give them money. It's more like this is just what it's going to take to solve this problem, and now the problem is solved, and it's very workish in that moment. So I find that automating it and taking the friction out of it helps
Fabulous.
close it.
And we're just about out of time, but we're talking about developing an effective remote selling strategy. So I'm going to give each of you just 30 seconds, couple of quick tips. And Eric, maybe I can start with you.
I think first and foremost, everyone needs Zoom or something like it. That's the personalization we're having now. Or Ring Central, sorry. My bad. But a platform like that. We all need CRM. Salespeople need CRM. Have your proposals and quotes come out of the CRM. Track that. Track your products. What's selling. What's not. Track activity. And we're in a pandemic, and I think we got to be a little bit more gritty and work harder. And that's what we're trying to do. So that's my 30.
Excellent. Okay, Michael Day.
Yeah, so join the Ring Central Partner Program. I ask each and every one of you to do that. But other than that, rely on your vendors. Rely on your vendors to help and understand what are they seeing, where are they seeing the markets going, and how does the partner fit into their company's focus and strategy. And other than that, I think be real and be authentic. Stop being transactional, but be authentic. Find those things that will allow you to establish a relationship that's going to go beyond just the service you're selling.
Excellent. Michael B., 30 seconds.
I think one of the most important things is supporting your sales force, making sure they have everything that they need to do the sales, giving them coaching along the way so they can have the new tools to actually communicate and change their approach up, supporting them as a human being, so making sure their environment is comfortable, they have all the tools that they need, even down to the care, so supporting your sales tool or your sales team, and then doing often engagements with them and trying to get them to know that they are part of a team, they're not alone, and keeping their mental health supported. You're not alone. Don't take the rejections personal. Keep showing up. It's going to work. And by doing that, you can give them the KPIs, how many calls a day, how many connections, how many conversations. Doing that, we found, has been the most successful way of keeping them motivated, engaged, and communicating with people.
Fabulous. And Mark, last but by no means least.
I think as a quick tip, I'd like to pick up actually one of the questions that was posted on the chat. There was someone who's managing a large sales team and is trying to get everyone on message. I think one of the things to do there is maybe do a pitch battle, like have a video of one or two of your best sellers that really understand the corporate message, stream it out on Zoom or share it with the team, and then have teams come back and do their own version of the pitch. And you'll probably see some creative solution using the technology tools. We don't have a whiteboard like we used to have in a meeting room, but people will kind of come up with some creative solutions. So, and then give out some prizes. It's a real pitch battle, and I think you can get everyone excited about the message.
Fabulous. Guys, that was absolutely terrific. Eric, Michael Bowers, Mark, and Michael Day, thank you so much for some great insights. I think we all learned a lot. There are a number of questions that we didn't get to. And basically, we will ask our panelists to answer those questions, and we will post those up on the site. So everyone, thank you very, very much indeed. We now have some vendor sessions and also a networking break. So look forward to seeing everyone in those sessions. But thank you all very, very much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.